Hello everyone, so I'm with yet another video, but this time it is not going to be a book review, but instead today is a very important day. It is the 81st birthday of His Eminence Samdong Rinpoche. So on this occasion, as per suggested by my brother and my mentor Joy, I'm going to give a very brief introduction, a very brief overlook on Rinpoche's life, as well as out of his many works and out of his many speeches, I'm going to choose one particular speech and I'm going to try to explain as much as I can briefly on that speech. So there are many people who knows about Samdong Rinpoche, who have heard about his works and styles, but also there are many people like us who don't know that much about him. So regardless of everything, we all have heard about this name and we all know that he's a great person. So as a reminder for some people and as a new additional information for some people, let's first dive a little into the life story of Samdong Rinpoche. So Samdong Rinpoche was born in a place called Jol in eastern Tibet in 1939, and at the age of 5 he was discovered as the reincarnation of the 4th Samdong Rinpoche, and immediately after that he was enthroned into Khadin Tejuli Monastery. So after 1959, after he fled into exile, his first task here in India was to become the religious teacher in the Tibetan school in Shimla, and also later on he served as his principal. He also served as the principal of the Tibetan school in Dalhousie and also served as the principal in 1971 of our own institution, Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies. So from 1988 to 2001, he also served as the director of our own institution. Now the great thing about Rinpoche is that he is very versatile. His works can be seen in so many fields. So take for example in the political field, he has been the Speaker of the Tibetan Parliament of the CTA for 2 consecutive terms. In 2001, he has been the Prime Minister or the Kalim Chiba of the CTA, and then he is a great advocate of Umelem, the middle way approach. And also, out of the many works he has done, the one thing that stands out the most to me is that he has a great role in drafting the exiled Tibetan constitution, the Chatim for the exiled Tibetan the government. So like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is considered to be the father of Indian constitution, James Madison is considered to be the father of the constitution of the United States, I think, though it is not official, I think Samdong Rinpoche can be rightly be called as the father of the exiled Tibetan constitution. So talking about social activities, Samdong Rinpoche has a great authority on the Gandhian philosophy. So by authority, it means that he is very learned and he has a very great in-depth knowledge on the Gandhian philosophy, and he does promote and preserve the knowledge. And also, like many of us might know that Samdong Rinpoche had been very close with G.K. Krishnamurti, who was a very great educationalist in the history of contemporary India. And Samdong Rinpoche not only has this social importance in the Tibetan exiled community, but also in the Indian community he plays a great role. And talking about the religious matter, no need to mention that Samdong Rinpoche has completed his Keshe Tharapa degree. He has translated so many Buddhist texts, he has given so many speeches and talks on Buddhism, and in the present day he is considered to be one of the leading Buddhist scholars. Now last but not the least, talking about the educational field, I think all the religious stuff can be also categorized into this category, but also, like I have mentioned, he has been the teacher and principal of a couple of schools including our own institute, and he has also been the chancellor here, vice chancellor here, and he has also been the chancellor of the Sanchi University. And not only that, he has been the president of associations of Indian universities. Basically, it means that he has been the head of all the universities in India. So I think that is quite a high post. So as the president of the Association of Indian Universities, on the presidential address, Samdong Rinpoche had given the long speech on the current education system and the situation of the universities. So today I'm going to try to explain as much as I can on this long speech, and though it was really hard to understand and it is going to be much harder to explain it, but still I'm going to try my best. And also I'm going to give I'm going to link below somewhere the PDF of the speech so that you can also read the speech and get something from it. So Samdong Rinpoche starts off the speech by addressing people, addressing the audience, how They might be shocked to see a Buddhist monk who is not only non-Indian but also someone who has not received the education as per the framework of the modern education system. But this is the beauty of the Indian culture, how Indian culture is so accepting of vast cultural diversities, how Indian culture is so open-minded, free-spirited when it comes to receiving knowledge and education. Now the whole speech was supposed to be on modern education and on the universities. So Rinpoche first starts off by defining the term university. So the word university is derived from the Latin word universitas, which literally means whole. So Rinpoche attaches the word whole with the concept of time and space and time and life. So by that I assume that we generally assume that time and space are different things, but in reality these are the part of a single thing, that is time space, as per the theory of relativity by Einstein. So leaving the scientific thing aside, I think what Rinpoche was really trying to convey us is that our life is defined by the time we live, and our time in turn defines our life. So these are not separate things, it's one thing. So it is up to us how we make use of our time, so in turn it will define how we actually make use of our life. So the next thing Rinpoche points out is the ultimate aim of the universities. So throughout history there had been great universities like the Nalanda University in India, to the Oxford in England, and to the Samye in Tibet. So these were great universities where the primary objective there was to gain and give knowledge, and the ultimate aim was to become enlightened, or gain the knowledge of the ultimate truth. But nowadays the objective of the universities are far from that. Nowadays, the primary objective of the universities are more on the side of getting jobs. They are more job oriented. The whole purpose of studying, of getting into the universities, are to prepare students to get jobs in the future. And that's how I think nowadays not only universities work, but also schools and colleges and other institutes. So this is a very not a good way to promote education. Maybe that explains why the number of students, the gap between students who actually get success from such an environment and the number of students who get educated every year, those students who get enrolled in universities everywhere, the gap is so high. And also the number of students who are actually educated but not employed are also so high. So because in the educational institutes we are supposed to come to learn and not to get trained, maybe that's the consequence, that we are not getting the proper objective that we are supposed to get, because the whole environment is bad, the whole ideology has been interpreted. Now the second thing is about the educational structures in the current universities. So in ancient India, as well as in many old age-old customs, the whole educational structure used to be very guru-centric, very teacher-centric, where a teacher used to be the enlightened figure, where he was not only very profound in knowledge but also very compassionate, and he was the perfect inspiration for the students. He used to practice what he preached. So that was the kind of guru-centric environment. But talking about just specifically about India, since the British invention, that kind of system totally vanished out of India. But still many good prominent figures came out from the Western education system, and these people were the people who fought for the freedom of India, because they knew that the British invention, the British colonization wasn't a good thing. They saw the suffering of Indian people everywhere. They saw the dissemination of the Indian culture everywhere. So they fought for the the protection of their own culture, protection of their people. And but in the end, when the British were finally out of India, what the politicians at that time chose was that instead of going to the age-old Indian tradition, age-old Indian custom of education, they chose the Western education. They completely dismissed the ideas and the examples created by visionaries like Mahatma Gandhi, by Swami Vivekananda, and they completely amended it and proposed the Western education in India. And to this day we can see the bad impact of it. Now last but not the least, the final point is about the question of morality. So many people nowadays believe that nothing is wrong with the Western education system, and the only point that is missing, the only loophole in the Western education system is about the question of morality. If that problem will be solved, if a proper moral code will be applied into the education field, that everything will be solved, the problem is solved. But the notion of morality as the people conceive these days, and the morality that the traditional view is conceived, it is very different. The traditional approach, so traditional view of morality is about having a virtuous like identity, having a good heart, having a good person, about taming our own passion and getting rid of our ignorance. But the Western view of morality, or say the like modern view of morality, is about all about rationalism and all about the individualism. So if that will be put into practice, if that will be practiced into the universities or the educational field, so that will put into a great chaos. It will like result in lots of like breaking up of laws and orders and making up of other laws and orders, and it also will like result in like a great mental health problems. So but in a society where there is such a chaos, where there is such mental disability, where there's like laws and orders put into universities and studying campuses, then it won't work, right? It won't like result in the greater freedom of thinking. It won't like result in the greater intellectual growing. So if instead of the morality that the people say nowadays, if we like switch to the morality that we had from our culture and our tradition, then maybe like it is what I think this is what Samdong Rinpoche is trying to say. Maybe we will have like greater Swaraj for us, and that is the whole point. To have greater Swaraj, to have greater thinking capability, to have like greater freedom of thinking, greater freedom of expression, greater freedom of like being an intellectual, then we must like form to be a moral person as per the traditional approach. So in the end, Rinpoche urges scholars, urges the intellectuals to see the nature of both the modern and like traditional approaches. So my conclusion will be the same also. I think that both the modern and the traditional approaches are not 100% bad or 100% good, but we need to find a middle ground, and we shouldn't like we don't have to be an intellectual for that. We can like have the capability to think, and we can think and decide on our own. And what I think that whatever Rinpoche taught us was very enlightening, but it was also very subjective, because what he said could be considered from so many different points and could be really questionable at times. So take for example the concept of studying just for the sake of studying. So for people it might like for some people it might seem undigestible, because we have this like responsibility to provide for ourselves, to provide for our families, and to make money. But what Rinpoche means by this statement is that nowadays people are being enslaved by different companies, different ideologies, and some few people. And that is because as per our modern education system, we are trained to get jobs in the future, and those people who give us jobs are like are those people who actually enslave us with their like ideologies and all that. So from the perspective of the like cultural and traditional way of education, we like are supposed to be free thinkers. We are supposed to be free individuals who have the capability of our own thinking, who like can really think of our own and can make a living out of our own like effort, and not through not through being blinded by our greed and our passion and everything. So our institute must like promote like students to be less in the like process of getting greedy and being blinded by passion and all that. So lastly, I want to conclude by saying that like I have said, not the traditional approach, not the Western approach is both not 100% good or bad. We can take the middle ground and try to work to find a middle way, and like just taking for the consideration of the Buddhist way of like learning. It has like produced some very prominent figures. For example, just in the present scenario, take Samdong Rinpoche and also take His Holiness the Dalai Lama. These are these outstanding personalities which are the product of the system of the Buddhist traditional approach. So we should know that our tradition are very rich, and our tradition are so rich that it can produce such magnificent like people like them. So like we should like really think how we can like make use of both the traditional and Western approach, and once again try to find a middle ground and find the best way possible and try to gain maximum from all this.